Welcome to the Blonde Runner podcast with Coach Laura Erickson, where she shares her healthy living tips as a running and triathlon coach and mother of 4.
Oh,
Hi,
how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. So I'm excited to have you on my podcast. This is the first guest I've had, so I'm learning how to do it too. But we'll learn together. So
Hey.
yes, let me introduce you. So this is my friend Jill, and she is an ultra runner, and she has experienced a pretty major injury. And so we're going to be talking about getting through injury or coming back strong, and how we can injuries are hard, and if we've done anybody that's run long enough is going to have an injury at some point probably, and so we're dealing with injuries and how to kind of get over them. So Jill, I'm going to let you just introduce yourself and talk about your injury and maybe how it happened. And I think I said you're an ultra runner, so that kind of prefaces the whole idea, I think. So go ahead and tell us all.
Awesome. Well, I'm Jill Wilkins, and I like to run. I like to run a lot. And I joke that I got some screws loose. I really enjoy pushing myself and pushing limits. And I love ultra running, and I love everything about it. But yeah, unfortunately injuries happen, and the one I have is kind of a doozy.
Yeah, so tell us how it happened.
So it's kind of a loaded question, but I'll just hit a couple points. So last year, I was lucky and I got into really my dream race, and that was the Wasatch 100. It's a very difficult 100-mile race. Not like any 100-mile race is easy per se.
Not at all.
But this one's a challenging one. It goes through the Wasatch Mountains. It has super technical trails and steep climbs, steep descents. And a lot of the times there's loose dirt and loose softball size, baseball sized rocks. And they are like ankle busting, ankle roller rocks. And it also has 24,000 feet of gain. That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So my training was pretty intense. I ran the bear in 2020, and I just kept that ball rolling. I kept that momentum, and I kept getting after it. But I had some life stresses, and I think I attribute part of my injury to an eating disorder that relapsed. So my training was really intense. I didn't have any no injury issues. Like, my training went really well. I did the best I could, but in around mile 70, I had just summited, I think, Scott's Peak, and that's a point right above Brighton Ski Resort.
Mhm.
Anyway, I noticed some pain in my ankle, and it was a good steep descent, and part of it was on road, and I love the road because, oh my gosh, finally I can actually move my legs and not need my poles, where I could kind of get moving pretty good. But my ankle was really hurting, and I literally thought that I just had kind of, twisted it, or it had popped or something. I couldn't really remember any specific instances, but I had just gone all through the night. So, and it was a good almost a 20-mile climb to get up there. And I was kind of struggling at that point. I had nutrition issues, or I started vomiting around mile 30, and I just had a hard time with keeping food down, even wanting to eat, but I still was moving pretty good. But what I was getting at is basically I just wasn't quite with it as much mentally as I normally am in a race. So I kind of was like, maybe I just didn't pay attention, and I stepped wrong or something, because it's really a technical race, but just the pain never got better. And the next day,
you were 70 miles in. At that point, you had 30 more miles to go. right?
30 hard miles. Like, it's kind of interesting. Brighton is like, I want to say it's like mile 76, 70, 73, 74, 75. It was
Yeah.
one of those numbers. I was kind of out of it
We're in there.
by the time I got to Brighton. But Brighton is literally known as the halfway point. Even though you've already done 2/3 of the race, it's so hard after. Like,
oh, that's
yeah.
a 20 climb isn't enough.
I know, right? Like 100 miles isn't enough. Like, let's feel like you're halfway when you make it to, like, over mile 70. Anyway, yeah, and there was some really steep descents with just really loose dirt, and and my ankle hurt, but I really I'm like, I just twisted it. Like, that's what it felt like to me, was a sprained ankle. But yeah, it was pretty, pretty rough going as far as the trail goes. And then I ended up DNFing at mile 94, which stung even more. But that's another story. Fast forwarding to the injury. So the next day, my legs felt great. My training was on point, but my ankle was so swollen and it hurt. I could barely walk on it. But I treated it like a sprained ankle. I kind of stayed off of it, let my body recover. I was still doing active recovery. I like to get back at it even after a 100-mile race within like a week and get some vert, not necessarily any hard long runs, but it really helps loosen up. It helps you bounce back. And kind of getting back into it. But, I'd have to really rely on my poles heavily, like almost to the point of using them as crutches. And the pain was pretty significant. And it just went on like that for months.
So you didn't go into the doctor right away. You actually, it's swollen. You're trying to take care of it, trying to give it rest, but it just wasn't going away.
No. And I ended up seeing 3 different PTs. Just because nothing was, and one of them, I mean, like, everybody's trying the best they could because, I have a high deductible and I didn't want to pay full price for an MRI. And I literally thought I had sprained my ankle. Like, I'd never had ankle issues before, ever in the history of my running. And so one of my doctors diagnosed me with tendinosis. So then I went into some pretty heavy treatment for that, which includes Graston. And I don't know if anybody's had aggressive Graston treatment. It does not feel good. We'll just say that.
Not good, but it can work really well.
It works really well. And there's nothing better for tendinosis than Graston. So I did a month of that. And, at this point, it had gotten to be 4 months after Wasatch. And my ankle was still swollen. And it still hurt. And you could feel an actual lump.
4 months.
A lot of pain. And I had given up running. I'm like, okay, I'm going to treat this injury kindly. So I got a gym membership, and I wanted to try to retain some sort of fitness. And so I was doing rowing and the Stairmaster and the elliptical. None of those really irritated the ankle. As long as I wasn't landing and pushing off, it did pretty good. So 4 months later, it really wasn't getting any better, and it was still swollen. And I thought, okay, something's not right. So I found an imaging center, got an MRI, got a call the next day, and it was not a pleasant call. The radiologist basically was like, you have a tear, and it's a very bad tear in a very important tendon. And anyway, what I ended up finding out is I had a 2-inch tear in my posterior tibial tendon. 2-inch. I know.
Oh my gosh, that is like, no wonder why it wasn't getting better, right?
Oh God. I know. It really was kind of funny. The radiologist was like, no, wait a second. When did this happen? I'm like, September. And he's like, well, why didn't you come in until, why did you wait so long? And I'm like, it's kind of
Ultrarunners are stubborn people, right? They don't want to go in.
Right, exactly. I'm like, I just thought I sprained an ankle.
You were doing the right things in terms of rest and trying to, like, it wasn't like who wants to hurt themselves or be out with an injury like this? You really did think, okay, this is a sprain, but you also are an ultra runner. And so somebody else might have had a 2-inch tear and that would have been like they couldn't even put pressure on it. But an ultra runner, it's all
we kind of,
right.
Right. Exactly. Like sometimes there's a little bit of, we can handle a little bit of pain.
A lot
anyway.
of a 2-inch tear.
Just a 2-inch tear.
Anyway,
so I was able to I shopped around for a good orthopedic surgeon. Just, I needed somebody to understand that I really do want to get back into not just running. I want to do my ultras again. And ultimately, I really do want redemption at Wasatch. I would like to finish the entire course. So I needed to find somebody that understood that understood, the athlete mindset. And,
that
I
tell you, well, you can't run anymore, right? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Because it's going to happen. Like, yeah, you wanted somebody that understood.
Yeah, exactly. And, there are a lot of doctors or, PTs or, orthopedic surgeons that are not, they don't have that athletic mindset. So, they'd see a substantial injury like this and they'd say, well, you could probably get back to marathons, but good luck getting back to 100s. No, that's not okay.
No.
So I found a good orthopedic surgeon, got surgery, and it has been quite the experience. I was in a boot. So after the surgery, I had to wear a boot, like one of those huge walking cast boots.
It's been how many weeks since the surgery? So
I want to say 9 or 10 weeks. 9 to 10 weeks. Yeah.
And then it was like still 4 or 5 months after the initial injury, right? Like, got surgery. Yeah. And then it's a few months, 2.5-ish months around after that. So you started in a boot.
And, I had to sleep with it. I had to shower with it. I had nothing like, shoving down a little humble pie. I had to use one of those old people stools in my shower because I couldn't put any weight on my foot for weeks.
Yeah.
And I won't lie, it's been hard to go from training for a very difficult 100-mile race in that volume to nothing. And I even after, like, when I was injured and before my surgery, I was hitting it pretty hard at the gym. I one of my goals, I ran a marathon on the elliptical just to say, hey, I did before my surgery. And so that was really difficult. And I did not anticipate the surgery taking so much out of me. I didn't realize how weak it would make me and how hard it was, to get recovered. And then I had to completely rewire my brain and revamp my training. I'm so used to having so much volume, cardio volume on my legs. And I was not allowed to do any of that for 4 weeks, a minimum of 4 weeks.
Wow. That's hard.
Very
long days on that, for sure, no doubt.
Mm-hmm. So it's, and I've never been a gym person, and I'm sure most endurance athletes can kind of, what's the word? Relate, empathize, maybe.
You're a nature, you're an outdoor girl. And so someone saying, one, first of all, before 4 weeks, you couldn't do anything. Then the next, it's like, you still can't go out on a trail, which is very devastating, even, I would say, for a lot of, but also there's the hope that, you are going to get better. We know you're getting better already. So take us through how do you get through that? Because every day is probably hard, but what do you say to yourself? How do you get through it? Because there's other people, no doubt, listening in that maybe they're in the midst of an injury as well. Like, how do you get through those dark days, really?
It was hard. I broke down in tears a couple times. I'm not really an emotional person, but this has been hard. It's been a very good opportunity to reset my mindset and for learning and growth. So really what has been getting me through all of this, like, because I'm still grounded. I will not be able to even run for probably 2 more weeks. If I'm lucky. And then it's going to be flat, slow runs. I can't do vert. So no trails at all, really. Probably until midsummer, early fall. But the main thing is I try to focus on the big picture. So yeah, do I want to go outside now? Absolutely. Like, do I want to go on an easy hike? You bet your britches. It's so hard. You know, looking outside, seeing the beautiful mountains, the snow's melting, the trails are, becoming more accessible.
Yeah.
And I can't get on them. However, if I can behave, if I can really listen to my doctors, listen to my body, and give myself grace and give my ankle the opportunity to heal fully, then I will be able to get back at it. I will be able to go. The trails are not going anywhere. Running is not going anywhere. Ultra distances, not going anywhere. I just need to be patient. And one other awesome thing that I have found is the opportunity to try new things.
Yes, you are.
Exactly. So because, the gym has been hard, and what I was getting at earlier is I was terrified to get a gym membership. You see all these people that know what they're doing. Running is easy. I mean, okay, it's hard, but really it's easy. You put on your shoes, you pick a trail or a distance, you go do it, and you get back. You're done with your workout. You go to the gym, you've got to think, oh my gosh, how do you use these machines? Like, what parts of my body do I work? Like.
Yeah, it takes more thinking and planning a bit, I think.
Yeah, it does. And so that was a little tough. But I have gained an appreciation for the gym because I can tell, there are machines that can actually help my running better. Like the adductor machines, the inner and outer, like you're actually able to really crank that weight up pretty high to really exercise those stability muscles. And the classes are really fun. And it has been great to try to, like the rowing machine has been fantastic. When I was not allowed to use my leg at all, I could row one-legged.
Yeah,
So
I saw that in person.
It was not easy. My left leg
like,
hated me because I would isolate it, but hey,
it was
it
like
worked.
a lot of work on one. But that's what for me, like, and for athletes that I work with, when they're dealing with injury, which it happens to all of us, maybe not as big of an injury as you've had, but you have to focus on what you can do, right? Because like, if you focus on what you can't do, that's when you're in tears, right? But if you think I can still do this and this and this, or obviously it's giving you an opportunity to appreciate the gym, and you would never have had that. Not that you want to be thankful for an injury, but there are silver linings if you look for them, right? So focus on what you can do. Obviously, you've gained an appreciation for the whole gym thing, the whole gym scene. You can try things. What about, like, I know for me, like, running and things is very mentally healthy. And so when I'm sidelined, and of course I recently had shoulder surgery, so I know what this is all about. Totally, we are injured but buddies. What do you call it? And it's funny because you've got the lower body injury and I've got the upper body. It's fun when we work out. We're like, you do this for me, and I'll. But there is a mental aspect of, like, I know when I go trail running or running, it is like a mental, like, clarity that I get, that when you don't have that, and even though there's a gym and I guess you can still achieve some mental clarity with other kinds of fitness, but for people, I think, like you and me, we have a lot of energy and we need to get it out.
Yeah.
It's that is kind of part of the challenge, is not having that kind of that euphoria.
Well, and it's the endorphins too. I mean, all exercise produces endorphins, but running produces the greatest amount. And
it does.
It really does. I mean, you can have a bad day and you go out for a run and all of a sudden those problems don't seem so daunting. Like, I can do this. I can handle these. So yeah, like I said, there has been moments where I've broke down, and it's been very difficult, because it's not just I can't go out and run. It's all of a sudden my passion, the thing that has brought me so much joy and has helped me so much personally in my life, has been taken away. It's not permanent, it's temporary, but it's a very long temporary. I probably won't even be able to train or get back at it for a year, until next year. So, it's been a good, what I've done that's really helped me is it's made me really look at myself and go, okay, your eating disorder relapsed. It's this, I can't use, and it's, I can't use running to run away from my problems. Not that I was fully, because running has been great for me. But it was, there was a moment last year when, the stress in my life was super high and I wasn't taking care of myself yet. I was pushing myself so hard to train for this race. So I have really focused on like self-healing. Been listening to, positive mindset podcasts. I've been finding amazing books to read. So yes, I'm not running, I'm not getting that, but I'm able to refocus and realize, you know what? My life is going on, even though I don't have running. And I'm learning more about myself, and I'm picking new things to try and to do.
Like, it makes you shift your focus, even though you don't want to.
Yes.
Ultra running does take a lot of time and energy, but now, I mean, in a way, it's an opportunity to develop yourself in other ways. Like, mentally, you can develop a lot of mental strength. I know for me, like with after I lost my first baby, and then I was on bed rest for 10 weeks, and I was super stressed about losing a baby, but I learned, and I didn't have running. I couldn't run. I learned the most probably valuable lesson from that is that I could cope with stress without running, which was not usual for me. That is how I cope with stress. So I cope, but it did help me. Like, I had to. There was just no choice. And with yours, you have to. You have to create a way that you can deal with stress another way. And podcasts, and I mean, I think that's a great suggestion. And then, of course, listen into this one and follow this. But the books idea and like the mental aspect, I know I've had a few surgeries through my life, and I remember one particular, I had an umbilical cord hernia fixed, and I couldn't run, but I could cycle. And running was the thing I like totally wanted to do, but it made me work on cycling, and I still had to even be upright, but like I worked on cadence and I did as much as I could do. And matter of fact, I ended up winning the first race I did after being surgery, because you know what? I worked on cadence and like my speed, and I was like, wow, I think it makes you be a little creative. Like, you can do well at running by doing other things. Like, you did a marathon on elliptical. That's amazing. That you're still within reason with what the doctor wants you to do, but you're still like busting it out. I mean, that's inspirational, because I think a lot of people would just be sidelined and then lay in bed and cry about it, because I'm sure there was moments that were hard, but like, I think action helps no matter what you do. Maybe you're going and visiting somebody else at the hospital, or you're doing to help other people. Like, with that time, you're not just like giving up, and that hope, it keeps you afloat, but it's still, no doubt, there's still hard days, but it is giving you like opportunity to work on other things you wouldn't have. So like, I don't know, I think that's always a benefit, and you have to think about what you're getting from it in that way, so you're not like focusing on what you're not getting.
Well, yeah. And I loved when you were talking about, you can focus on other things, but for me, I used running for a lot, and that is how I coped with like the majority of anxiety and stress and all these things, right? But now I have found, guess what? life goes on. And I feel like even though this injury has not been fun, it's still not fun. And, but it has been a good opportunity of growth and learning. I feel like I've got more tools in my toolbox, to handle life. And can incorporate running back into it. Now that's just one more way that I can go through life and through life's difficulties. But now I feel like I'm more adept to be able to handle other things because I've been able to get through this very difficult injury, and like with you with cycling, it's interesting. I found I love mountain biking, and it always used to terrify me, and I don't know how to do the gears, and it's like running.
I'm with you. We're gonna figure this out together. We will find out.
Exactly. And it's like running is so easy. Like you just throw on your shoes, grab a hydration pack, a snack, and you're good to go. But it's like biking. Oh my gosh, you gotta got your high gears, your low gears, and then you gotta
change your tire. Hope you don't get a flat tire.
Right. Exactly. But that's one activity that I've been able to do with this injury now that it's finally getting a little stronger. And I can get outside and I can get on the trails. But it's been really fun. Like had I not had this injury, I wouldn't have learned how much I really enjoy it. Like it is actually really fun, and it's a great cross trainer. And the cardio that you get is fantastic. Like I actually feel like I can get a workout. I mean, running on the elliptical is, you do it long enough, you can get a good enough workout. But gosh, there's nobody to talk to. You're stuck inside the sweaty gym, So yeah,
the air is like flowing. I say I love to cycle, road cycling mostly, but I'm branching out, me, and so we're trying. But the hair, your hair being blown by the wind, like being outside, I think, and then being on the trails again, maybe in a different way. Running, it's hard when you're a runner in a way because running does sort of define you, and it's almost like you lose who you are without it. But at the same time, it also makes you. I mean, you and I we're moms as well, so like we do have other things taking our time, and of course they're watching, and we want to make sure we're handling ourselves good in terms of how do we get through this injury and how are we. And I love to see your cute little Katie do her little mountain bike, and she's doing so well, and she's such a sweetie. And I think we got to remember like the whole like you said at the beginning, when you're like, you have to look at the whole picture. You're going to be running again, and it's not, life is not over. Like it will come back. It is hard in the interim, but what I love about you is you are finding the joy in the light in now. Like you did, you're like, let's do a mountain bike. This will be so fun. Let's try something new. Like that is a great way to cope, because I think you can't pigeon yourself into just this running. You're only runner. Like you're so much more. Even any runner listening, you are so much more than just a runner. You really are. Like think about all the hats you wear in your life. If you're a mom, if you're you work, or you're a mom, you're a daughter, you're a aunt, whatever. We all have different hats, and so sometimes maybe putting those hats on a little bit more than the running hat, you have to do, and it's okay.
Well, it is a good opportunity to look back because, like I said, I was the runner, the ultra runner, and it's like you go to family parties and whatever. And that's just, people would come up and like, I don't even like to drive that far,
It's becomes the conversation, right? Always the conversation. What's your next? What did you do?
And to have that suddenly just taken away, and then like all the self-doubts and the negative thoughts, because we all have those. And it took a fair amount of self-reflection, and that's why a lot of the books that I was able to find and the podcast that I listened to was really good to help change that mindset, because I was pretty down on myself, knowing that this eating disorder relapse probably contributed a lot to this injury. And then DNFing so close to the finish.
I know.
Yeah. And I gave it everything I had. But ultimately my body said no.
Plus death, you could not. Yeah, that was smart for you to pull out. I'm glad you're You do have to
But
listen to your body.
it wasn't easy, and it was a hard time. But, like you said, putting on different hats, I realized that guess what? Like I'm still Jill. I'm still, you know, I try to be the best mom I can. I try to be the best example for my kids and best friend and supportive person in other people's lives. And I realized like running's just a part of it. It doesn't define me. Yeah, it's a great aspect and it's a great thing
Not
in
who
my
you are.
life.
It's a part of what you do, but it's not who you are.
Yeah.
I think that's important to distinguish, because it really is. I mean, you do wear so many other hats, and it is part of what you do. It's something that people can relate to you with, but it's not who you are.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Yeah, so injuries, they are not fun, but ultimately, they're going to happen, and they happen in any sport. Doesn't have to just be running, and it's really what you do with those setbacks.
They say
That
setbacks set us up for comebacks, right?
yes,
Right. And some people do come back stronger.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I became a faster and better cyclist because I couldn't swim or run when I had the
Mm-hmm.
other surgery. So it made me focus on something I wouldn't have done as much with. So and then I really started loving it because I saw progress, right? So
Yeah.
it sometimes is in the end, it becomes something, and I know through my trials, like I can relate to people now. I've been hit by a truck and I've had a concussion, all that, right? I
Yeah.
can people that have had that too. Not that I wanted to, but
Mm-hmm.
I can relate to people that have lost babies or
Yeah.
like I've been through that grief. And honestly, there is sort of a grief process when you lose the ability to do something that you love for a while. I mean, I would say you went through sort of a grief. You're probably going through still. Right?
Yeah, that's a really good perspective, and I didn't think about it that way. But yeah, no, I literally lost a huge piece of me. Like that was such a huge piece. Like running has done so much in my life to
Mm-hmm.
help me and help me grow and gain confidence, and it was such a big part of my life. And then literally, it was yanked away,
Yeah.
like not gracefully. It was yanked painfully and quickly. And then it was like almost like this big snowball rolling down the hill. Like, first, like I thought I sprained my ankle, and then first I DNF'd. Then thought I had this sprained ankle, but then it wasn't getting better. And then I found out like, oh my gosh, I tore my tendon. Oh my gosh. And then I like found out how serious the surgery was going to be and how long of a recovery it was going to be. And that like,
Sorry.
like, and then needing a knee scooter and needing to sit in this like stool in the shower, and then I couldn't drive because it was my right foot.
Oh gosh.
And I lost my independence, right? Like all these things.
That's so horrible. That's hard. But now you're able to do so much more. What I think, gosh, when because for me, I couldn't swim for a little while, but then when I started swimming, I was like, oh my gosh, I love this so much. Like, I think you don't realize how much you love something until it's taken away. And then it creates this appreciation level that you would never achieve any other way besides having it taken away. And so like, I'm loving it. I'm like, okay, I really love the hot tub. That's what I really love. But that's my favorite part. But and the sauna is awesome. So you can stretch a lot and those kind of things. And I do there. But I do think it brings that appreciation. I wanted to ask you this. I bet you have a bunch of these, but is there like a mantra you've been using like in your mind, like when it gets hard or you have a hard day? I mean, I know you kind of said you look at the long term or you focus on the big picture. Like, do you have a mantra though that you're saying to yourself a lot that kind of get you through not only like this injury, but like workouts or when you're out there on the trails, when when you'll be back out there, are there things that you tell yourself to get you through those miles? Like a mantra?
I don't know if I necessarily have a mantra, but I've always been a pretty driven person, and it has been hard to like lose fitness. Like I can tell, like I've lost a lot and I've worked so hard to gain it, but that's okay. I'll get it back. But really there's a thought that always goes through my brain. And it's mainly just, it's to keep me behaved, because anybody who knows me personally, I I don't rest. I don't like rest days. I'm constantly pushing. I'm constantly going. But there's this, I know, right? There's
I'm
this
gonna
thought.
tell you that.
I
Behave.
know. That's probably why we're friends.
That's it.
But there's this thought that always goes through my brain. And it's, I want to, I really want to get back to my ultras. And I need to, I don't want I want to be able to finish my 100-mile races, right? And possibly longer. And I keep I have this thought that it's like, if I'm behaved, if I, take it easy on running, right? And I work on my cross training and do whatever it takes, to keep my fitness, but like still behave, I don't want my ankle to start hurting at, say, mile 80, mile 90,
Yeah.
right? Because, that
Because you
would be a really awful thing to have to DNF just because I was impatient with the process.
so you're learning,
And that,
whether you like it or not, you're learning patience.
yes. But and another thought is, with my kids, I really, and I think most moms and even fathers can relate. I don't just do this for myself. I don't I don't expect my kids to be runners in life, but I really want my kids to see you can do hard things. And it used to just be, they'd see me do these hard races, and sometimes, they wouldn't necessarily go as planned, and I would struggle, and they would see me struggling, but they would see me not giving up. But it's been an interesting and, another good opportunity that they see this major setback. And that's another thing that gets me through these days is, I've got this big setback, but I'm not giving up. And am I going to the gym with a boot and doing what I can? You bet. Am I trying to keep focused? Am I trying to keep positive? But am I also being real and talking about struggles and talking about insecurities and talking about these things with them? Absolutely. Because we all have them, that we're all going to have these setbacks in life. It doesn't have to necessarily be an injury. It could be another huge setback. It could be, financial or, like relationship wise or whatever. We're all going to have these things. And we need to, and we need to have the tools to be able to like get through these stumbling blocks and these roadblocks or, detours in life. So anyway,
you act like it's not, life isn't hard. Never, I mean, this is not like, this is reality, and reality isn't like the highlight reel. It really is hard. We have down days and we have difficult things, and it's okay to be sad and cry sometimes, and I think that's smart to show your family and your kids, because that's going to like help them, not feel like they're inadequate in a lot of ways. It's like, even strong people have bad days or hard days or sad days, and honestly, like some emotional and stuff like that doesn't necessarily mean you're weak. It's actually a strength to be, kind or thoughtful of others, or, I think a lot of people view that stuff as weak, but really it isn't. And it's okay to be real. It's okay to show them that this hurts and it sucks and it's sad. And this is important to me, because they're probably going to have those setbacks too. And that you can still persevere. And I like that your attitude is, I'm not giving up though. I'm going to keep trying. This is a hard day. This is a bad day. Like, but I'm going to keep trying. And that's commendable. I think that's no doubt they're learning that from you. I mean, a lot of people learn that from you. So, but it's pretty, injuries are hard. And yours was a significant injury. And, I love everything you've shared. And I think that we're, as you eat, you're gonna have to ease back into training. And I know, one of the things that I shared for mine is it's so hard to lose fitness. It's so hard. I can't relate. And so I'm kind of I'm getting my fitness back, but I do what I can do within reason. And then I've tried to do this 2-a-day or 3-day workouts, and it's okay. I tell a lot of people, you don't have to do some magnificent large workout to make progress. Maybe you're listening and you're like, that's way crazy. I would never do a 100-mile race or whatever. But whatever goal you have, it doesn't matter if you don't give up on doing even little things. Like it can be, because honestly, 100-mile race is like losing 100 pounds. It's very hard, but you
Yeah.
break it into pieces and you break it in. Like for you, I'm sure you're looking forward to when you can run again, but you're dealing with the day in front of you. And so I think sometimes we get discouraged when we don't know when we can start running or whatever. You're knowing it's hopeful, but you deal with and do the best you can in the day that you're in, and like staying in the moment is so key, and not feeling like you can't do anything, because you aren't not doing anything. You are doing everything you can and within reason, but with that goal in mind that you don't want to be at 8-mile 80 and hurting because you were too impatient with the recovery. It's like more patience. I think that's holds true for people losing weight or something. You have to like with little bits at a time, right?
Oh, that's so good. You nailed it.
Yeah.
So thank you.
It's hard. It is hard, and it's okay that it's hard, and it's okay to be sad, but it's also important to like get up every time you fall down. Like that's what counts, is it's showing up and just trying every day, and even little bits matter. And this is a time in life with everybody, with COVID happening, and everybody was sort of healed. We're kind of coming back, and no doubt that would even exaggerated that injury even worse. But like staying, like, I guess the other question I have for you, positivity is huge, right? How do we stay positive? I mean, there's that, but on a daily level, how do you stay positive?
Oh, well, it's really, so this is what I try to do every day, especially, I mean, because I've had down days. Like I've had days that I don't want to leave the house, that I'm just so down about this injury, and then like recounting the race and the whole last year and everything that was happening in my personal life. When I really struggle, is I either use the note function on my cell phone, or I just grab a piece of paper and pen, and I start listing everything that I'm grateful for.
Yeah, I love this.
And I know it sounds so cheesy, but you know what? Like, honestly,
it's so great.
Every time I do that, I realize how blessed I am in life and how much I've given, and, the amazing people and support that I have in my life, and all of my many amazing memories and things that I've been able to do. So I'm able to look at that big picture, because you know what? I might be sad that day, and it's okay. It's fine. We don't have to be happy every single day. But I'll tell you what, I always feel better when I'm able to look at all the wonderful and all the good that's in my life. So that's what I do. That helps me keep that positive outlook.
I'm so with you on notes in my phone every day before bed. When I lay my head down before I go to sleep, I write down what I'm grateful for that day. Particularly, was it a cute quote that somebody sent me? Was it a nice words? Was it I felt accomplished as a mom, or something cute in my children? Or it's little tiny things, but if you're looking for them, it really helps to come from, I think, in my heart, a place of abundance. Like, yes, I didn't have to have the setback. Yeah. And if you think about all those bad things, it's going to become a monster on your back. If you think about all just the little things, the neat little, their kitties are so cute sitting in the sink, and like, I mean, they're probably dumb for everybody else, but to me, that it just tickles me. I love to see the cute kitties do their cute things, and my daughter, my kids loving those animals, and like the home and the garden, and these little my horseradish is poking through the ground, and my like, there's so much to be grateful for, and it really does fill your soul to come from a place of abundance and gratitude. Gratitude makes what you have enough. It really.
Absolutely. Well, kind of goes along, like, not to be cliche, but it kind of goes along with that saying that, if you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you can't. So when you focus on the negative, that's all you're going to see. But if you focus on the positive, that's what you're going to see. And so even with like this horrible, crappy, sucky, all the awful adjectives and descriptions, injury, if you focus on, like, gosh, what can I do? What do I have in this life? And what else can I focus on? Gosh, my life is full, and I've realized I can get by without running. It'll be there when I'm ready and I'm excited for it. But it's been great to focus on, other things and to be able to work on, other aspects of my life.
Training, we do so much to train our body, but I know I do, life coaching and stuff now, but I find we don't do that much to train our brain.
Yeah.
And when we are sidelined, that's a great opportunity. And the gratitude, writing down the gratitude and getting our mind patterns that way, it's a great way to train your mind. We don't spend enough time, I think, working on the mind. And sometimes we do without realizing really are, like the mantras or the things that you think, or just like your thought patterns and people being able to hear those. I think that's beneficial. It's like you believe your own story that you tell yourself. And so, but that script can be changed and it can be made into what you want it to be too. We do believe, what we tell ourselves, I think, like kind of like what you were hitting on, but so many great things to learn from injury that we don't really want to go through, but we learn them. And the things we usually learn a lot more. I bet you anything you have learned so much from your DNF, probably more than all of your other races combined, all your victories, right? We learn from the hard things more. And we don't want to go through them, but we who wants to, we don't do that, but we do go through it because we have to. And it's kind of like to, but what we learn from that, we would never want to, who wants to go through an injury again, but we wouldn't want to not learn what we learned, right?
Yeah, so exactly.
We go through the hard stuff to learn.
Exactly. And it's like, the DNF, it was awful. And it was really hard for me. Like that was my very first DNF and I came out of it injured. Like it was hard, but you know what? When you do these huge events, and it's not just 100-mile races, it's, and my level of hard is different for everybody else. So, what, might be someone might have a very hard time doing a 5K and may not be able to finish it, or, like their first triathlon or bike race or whatever, ultimately there's a very real possibility of you not finishing. Like there's a lot of things that can happen, a lot of things that can get out of your control. And this is another thing that I was able to, maybe take from this experience, and getting back to being an example for my kids is, life's not a Hallmark movie. I can't tell you. And I don't like what? It's really not. Like seriously. I
thought you had a perfect life. What are you talking about?
Right. I know, right? Just look at my Instagram. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh no. It has all kinds of, no, you're real. That's okay. What we like.
I know, I was just kidding. But but really, I wish I could express without getting emotional how bad I wanted Wasatch. I knew about this race since high school, and I had some health issues growing up, and I just never thought I'd be at this level where I could be strong enough to run this race. And then it's a lottery. So it's a hard race, you're not guaranteed to get in.
No.
So I felt like this was my one chance. And it was just not in my cards. Like I struggled from the very first climb, the very first 7 miles I was having issues, and I literally had issues the entire race. And ultimately, obviously I didn't finish.
Hard to fight through all that and then still not meet what you, and knowing that was something you were thinking might have been unattainable anyway. And then you wanted to prove to yourself that you could do it. So that, it stung, no doubt.
Oh, it did. And my kids were with me, and, my parents were at the finish line. There was friends waiting at the finish line for me. And I made it past that last aid station. Everybody tracking me online. Oh, Jill's made it. And then all of a sudden, no, I didn't,
so close. Right. But you were like, you're alive. You had,
it was pretty dangerous. It was not very good. I did need to stop when I did.
Not good. Like, no. I'm so glad. Like, I'm glad you're still here. That's
I know.
100-miler, but like,
right.
But
it's
much better when you conquer it again, though.
Exactly. And I can learn from it. But, it's just, I wanted my kid, it's been a good opportunity for like my kids or anybody else to realize I wanted that so bad. My training was on point. Everything was on point. But in the end, it didn't work out. And there's so many times in life, not just in races, not just in whatever, but there's so many times in life that you want something so bad and you do everything right. Everything you worked at it, you whatever, and it didn't work out. But guess what?
Like, you have to do
It's
what you
okay.
control, right? Like,
Yeah.
not everything is in our control.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And there was a lot, like 54% of the runners dropped this last year. I mean, it was bad race conditions. It was a rough race. And, it's okay. Because guess what? That 100-mile distance isn't going anywhere. I can get back at it and I can learn from it. Like, I can learn from all the things that happened in that race. I was able to look back and go, okay, so here's where this started causing this problem. Well, this started causing this problem. And you can take those nuggets and be like, okay, how can I learn from this? How can I, get back at it or whatever? And
it's not really a failure until you fail to learn, right?
Or until you just give up.
Yeah. You don't want, no, absolutely not.
No. What I was meaning by giving up is not necessarily the event, but it's like, if you say you have an injury, like running, you're just getting new into running and bam, IT band injury, right?
Yeah.
You could throw your hands up in the air and be like, oh, I guess this isn't for me. Right.
Yeah. A lot of people do that. They don't keep trying, or like,
yeah,
that's common to eventually have something.
Yeah, exactly.
So
but it's like, okay, you do a little research, you learn, okay, well, I need to exercise my glutes. I need my stability muscle strong. And guess what? You can get back at it. And guess what? After learning from that, now you can be a stronger runner and look at all the different opportunities it can be, or experiences that running can give you. You could run your first 5K, you can run your first half or your marathon or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you would have got an injury and just said, oh, I guess my body's not built for this. Or I guess this isn't for me. You could be denied some amazing, like, experiences and opportunities, and, and you never know where it could take you if you
look at me. Who
learn
knew?
from it. Yeah, right? Exactly.
I really liked running when I first started because it was really hard, but I was ahead of everybody. But I'm like, you know what? I hate college, and now I do it for my living. So, like, you never know. And so, yeah, don't give up after you have a little tiny, hiccup. Like, a rocks can be, a stumbling block can be a stepping stone too.
Yeah.
You decide, are you going to trip over? Or are you going to step on it and make you higher and do better? And but it is a choice. And I like that. I mean, you're showing us kind of what you've chosen, how you've chosen to look at a very hard situation. And like, I love the hopefulness because, and I love the thought that, well, the 100-mile not going anywhere. Like, it isn't. Like, it'll be there when you're back at it. And it's hard. I think one of the hardest things is to see life kind of going faster past you. Like, I see people out running, like, I want to be doing that many mileage, right? Right now, and I'm like, I am sidelined, but I'm like thinking, but when you have the gratitude, it does definitely help. And I think I've done this long enough. Like, I've done it almost like 30 years. I'm like,
right,
it'll be there. You're right.
Yeah.
I love that because it's like, yeah, it'll be there. I don't have to. It's not going anywhere. Like, other people can do that more now, right? Than me. But it's okay because I also have time now to work on other things I didn't have time for. So, like, it all works out, right? So, and I can't wait to see you finish. I am going to have to be at that finish when you do it again. Because I'll be patient.
Either or.
And both probably. But no, my friend, I'm glad that I could talk to you about this because I know we've talked about this quite a bit, but I think it's so valuable to share your insight with others because you're in the midst of an injury and it is hard. And I know I'm getting over mine too. And there are things that can help. And I think it's good to talk about it. I think it's therapeutic to, like, air those feelings and, kind of process what you're going through too out loud. Yeah. Sometimes it makes it a little bit different, but now I know what to say to you. I will I will always keep saying to you, behave. So behave. behave, because you know you want to get back to that finish. And that is going to be one glorious finish when you get to do it, because you've worked so hard and you went through all this to get it. You know, it'll be even that much better when you cross that line of Wasatch 100 the next time. It's going to be fun. I know. I'm going to be crying. You're going to be crying. You know, it's going to be great. So, anyway, thank you so much for taking the time to talk and like process all this with me. And I think this has been really fun. So I appreciate having you.
Yeah, thank you for having me and letting me talk about my crazy running and this amazing injury.
Yeah.
I say that with all the sarcasm in the world.
I had a little tear, a 2-inch tear. Oh my gosh. Anyway, you just keep at it, because you really are inspiration to others. But I really appreciate you, and I'm so grateful to call you my friend. So thank you for all the encouragement you give me as well. So anyway, I'm sure we'll be seeing you soon anyway. So we will connect more. Yeah, we'll probably have to do more of these about all kinds of things, because this was fun. So I really appreciate it. But all right, everybody listening in, if you have any other ideas, or certainly follow this or share this with others if you thought this was helpful for you. And until next time, live well.